Welcome to another episode of the Coffee with the County Local Voices series. Today I have Brad Pieper, who is the CEO of American Peat Technology here in Aiken.
Hey Mark, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Welcome to our office and in Aiken County and our podcast central. So the Local Voices series, as I mentioned to you before we started, we love to get leaders of our organizations in, leaders of our community. You are both of those. Our community, neighboring communities, I know you're busy with a ton of things, but let's start with you in particular. Brad, tell us, how'd you get associated in Aiken County? Where'd you start? I know West Point's part of that whole history.
Yeah, it's a long journey. We don't have time for it all, but I'm the oldest of three boys. I grew up in Hopkins, Minnesota. Found my way to West Point thanks to the game of hockey. Played ice hockey at West Point and then went into the Army. I was an officer in the cavalry, 3rd Armored Cavalry Regiment out of Fort Carson, Colorado. And I graduated right before 9/11, so that created a busy schedule for us. So I deployed to Bright Star in Egypt in support of Operation Enduring Freedom in Afghanistan, and then was part of the initial invasion in Operation Iraqi Freedom, where we were busy in Al Anbar province, and came home with some memories, a lot of leadership lessons, and a Bronze Star to show for it. And I left the military, went to business school at Northwestern University in Chicago, Kellogg School of Management, focused on marketing, sales strategy, got an internship at McKinsey & Company, spent 5.5 years at McKinsey & Company doing sales and marketing consulting to CEOs, CMOs in the financial services world, and then made a real right hook when I left the firm before I made partner and went into the biotech industry, worked for microbiologics in St. Cloud for Rick Bowerly's Granite companies. Learned a lot about applied science, fell in love with applied science, and took that really all the way to APT. I was president at Eurofens, and I worked briefly in manufacturing here locally at Lexington Manufacturing in Brainerd, and then APT found me through an old McKinsey colleague, and this has been the funnest stop along the way. I mean, I love being in Aiken. I love the team, the family at APT. I love what we do, and I love what's coming because we've got a lot of big plans, and we think they're going to happen.
Yeah, that's awesome. First and foremost, as always, thank you for your service and your dedication to our country and everything.
It was a great honor. Thank you for saying that.
We appreciate that very much always. I know that you mentioned Bowerly Microbiologics. I'm familiar with through my old Coca-Cola days. We used to do some vending and things like that through there.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that you said how, because this is where we get lucky. We get people like yourself to join our community, and how I love the fact that you said how much you're enjoying APT and what goes on over there. Give us a 5-minute, what does APT do for those that are local? They understand the general areas, but
Well, I'd love to do that. I want to respond to the first thing you said, which is, finding myself in rural Minnesota. I grew up in a city. I worked in big cities when I was doing financial services work, and I kind of came up here kicking and screaming. This is where my wife is from, and I thought, well, how does one make a living here? Because I didn't have a lot of connection to rural living.
Yeah.
And 13 years later, I could never go back. I mean, I've just fallen in love with being out here. It's just such a good fit with my personality. So how did I get to APT? Or no, what is APT? What is APT2? So American Peat Technology is about a 23-year-old business formed out of a bankruptcy in Wisconsin. So we came to the right side of the border and reestablished the company. It exists to harvest reed sedge peat. What is reed sedge peat? It's the peat that's formed at the bottom of glacial lakes. We exist next to the former glacial lake Aiken, and as reeds and sedges decompose partially over 8,000 years, it forms peat. Peat has very great chemical characteristics. Initially, APT harvested peat to use as a microbial carrier for rhizobia bacteria in legume plants. Why do you do that? Well, legume plants need nitrogen. Nitrogen gets fixed naturally through rhizobia bacteria, and so we're creating a shuttle for that rhizobia bacteria to be introduced into the field at the time of planting, offer nitrogen to the plant, and so we can maximize yield in a totally natural way.
Yeah, so the the bacteria attaches to the peat, and
it does. So the peat serves as like a culture media, food and sustenance for the microbe, so that when it's thrown out into the field, it can sustain itself and actually replicate and multiply and be available for the root nodule as it grows.
So, and legumes is beans, right?
Yeah, so thank
you.
Yeah.
Remember, simple guy over here.
I also am a simple guy, but I assume too much. Yeah, so beans, chickpeas, a lot of product that gets exported actually to India, which is consistent with their diet. So Canada is one of the largest, if not the largest, exporter of legumes to places like India.
Yeah. So your territory or your selling territory reaches many different areas, right?
It does. So because of the prominence of legume plants in Canada, a lot of our sales are in the prairie provinces of Canada, Saskatchewan, Manitoba, Alberta, and the like. We also sell into the northern part of the United States, where they're still broadcasting at time of planting instead of spraying. We don't do anything in liquids, and we've started to supply product both to South America and to Europe, and increasingly so in Europe. And so, yeah, we are truly an international company and very proud of it.
That's amazing. Yeah, right here in Aiken County.
Yeah. Where all the good things grow.
Where everything happens, right?
Yeah, that's right. It's just naturally better.
Thank you for that very much. I'll pay you at the end of this for that deal. But yeah, appreciate that. How many employees are we talking about at APT at this point?
Yeah, so we're just about to tip over that 50 employee limit. So, and if you counted our sort of fullish time contractors, we're probably over that 50 full-time equivalent mark. So that's about where we're sitting, and it's been quite a bit of growth here in the last year, even because there had been some tough times in the market and internally at APT when I took over almost 3 years ago, and now we've really emerged from those challenges and are really plotting a course for growth.
Yeah, 50 plus FTE in Aiken County is a high number.
Yeah.
Second time I'm going to thank you for doing that. The company is thriving, and it's helping this community thrive, providing those jobs, and that's a large employer for our area. There's no doubt.
Well, APT is just a mirror of the culture here in Aiken, which is just very humble, hardworking people that want to do something bigger than just make money. And so, we really make lives better through the production of food and treating water and creating battery minerals and things like that. And so it's really easy to hire here in the area because the types of people that we're looking for culturally are plentiful here, and so whereas some people see a challenge, we see a great opportunity in this county.
So we talked a little bit about the food. You just mentioned the water and the battery minerals. You want to expound on that a little bit?
So that microbial carrier I was talking about was the origin of APT, and so that's become sort of the staple of our ag business. So we work in row crops. We now build golf courses, and we're in the turf grass market. We're looking into the horticulture market, personal gardening market with soil amendments and the like. Beyond ag, we also have a family of companies, including Headwater Technologies, which is a full design, build, treat, water treater, headquartered in Eden Prairie, Minnesota, which has done projects like clean up the Keystone Oil Pipeline in Kansas. Mm-hmm. It's working right now with the EPA to develop approaches to municipal PFAS treatment. We have a startup that we started about 2 years ago called Cuyuna Range Reclamation, where we're reclaiming ferromanganese ore and then processing that ferromanganese ore into high purity manganese sulfate monohydrate for use in EV batteries.
Nice.
So one thing that was highlighted in this recent bill that was passed at the federal level, this beautiful bill as they call it, is that we don't currently have any capacity for battery mineral processing in the United States. That about 99% of it is done outside in China. And so we've taken that on as it's something we can do. We understand ion exchange chemistry, we understand hydrometallurgy very well, we understand geology, and so we've been able to perfect a process to purify manganese, which is actually the highest proportion of an NMC battery technology, so that we can be the first, we like to be the first commercially available manganese for the domestic market here in the United States. And we're talking to customers and the government about it now. So we're really excited about what's coming.
And it's that same natural take care of the earth philosophy with this as, what you're doing with the peat and the ag itself. And
yeah, our mission is to create global impact by unlocking the potential of overlooked resources. And we think overlooked resources exist in the form of peat, they exist in the form of manganese, they exist in the form of our people that are contributing to all of this. Aiken County is one of the poorest counties in Minnesota, and we recognize that, and we celebrate it because, the people that are overlooked in this county are doing things that people couldn't even think are possible. And so we love being the underdog in that way. And so, we're taking from the earth and we're giving back to the earth through our technologies, including making whiskey, which I know you're somewhat familiar with as well.
Yes, I'm a fan of your Brother Justice whiskey that's made through the peat technology, which is awesome.
Yep. Yeah, a few years ago, with the help of Phil Steger from Brother Justice down in Northeast Minneapolis, we invented a new category of whiskey that we call cold peated. So traditionally, Scotch whiskey is smoked, and you infuse the flavor with peat smoke. We knew that peat initially existed to filter things. It's to basically protect our rivers and lakes from the runoff of our soils because they're highly metallic, and that's what peat exists to do. So we use that same ion exchange property, and we created an insoluble form of peat that we could then use to finish whiskey. So it filters out the not so great tasting impurities in the mash, while at the same time giving back flavors from the bog, which has created a very unique flavor of whiskey that has been celebrated in the likes of Forbes and other spirits magazines. And so we've received a lot of awards, and we're excited to bring that technology out to distillers everywhere in the next calendar year.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you just think about, here's a major employer of Aiken County and all of the things that are going on inside those four walls. This is one of the big reasons why we want to do this and get this word out, is to help you tell people what's going on out there, in any way that we can. Because
we so thank you for that. And we aren't naturally in Aiken County sort of great at sort of talking about ourselves and telling people our stories. And so we feel kind of the responsibility to do that now. We think what we're doing is going to be so impactful in the world that we're trying to get the word out more. So we appreciate this opportunity to do it.
Yeah, anytime at all. It'd be great to have you back anytime you've got information. I know Peggy's saying she wants to come in at some time.
She might be a better interview.
No, this is great. I appreciate it myself, having you in here. Anything that you want to talk about that we haven't already? I know from a personal standpoint, you are like on so many different community organizations and boards that the list is endless when you look at that, and I thank you for that. Third time I'm going to thank you during this thing.
Well, thank you for that. We certainly can talk about that if you want to get into the community impact stuff, but maybe just to wrap it up with APT, we really, at our 20th anniversary, we created some new values, and those new values, they're 4 words that the first letter of each of those words spell the word rise. And rise is important to us because certainly we help rise things out of the ground. And we also rose out of a bankruptcy. That's how we got started. And so resilience and this idea of rising above challenge is a big part of our culture. But the 4 words that spell rise are resourceful, industrious, stewardship, and entrepreneurial. And the one I want to just talk about for just a brief second is this idea of being a steward. We really feel like the natural resources that we have permits to use are things that we must do responsibly as stewards. And so what we want to do is create great environmental impact by keeping things like synthetic urea off of the soils and out of our streams. In the same way, we want to be great stewards of our people so that we can help them develop to be the best people and the best professionals that we can do. And we do that through an IDB process that I'd love to talk about more on another day. And maybe most importantly for this conversation is we really see ourselves as stewards for this county and this city in particular. This is where we live. This is the city that took us in after a bankruptcy. And so as stewards to this community, you mentioned it's pretty remarkable that we have 50 employees here. Well, It is remarkable, and we recognize that too. And so when there's an opportunity to get together with our neighbors here and do something great, like what we have done with the terrace here, or what we've done with the ball fields, or what we've done at the county fairgrounds, we want to do those things. You know, we're putting on events now like governance forums to help people learn about governance in for-profit and not-for-profit organizations. We're doing things like celebrating women leaders through women leading the way. We had almost 200 women come to Rutgers last year to learn about being great female leaders. And I'm not a woman, but we have a lot of women leaders at APT. Half of my senior leadership team are female, and so things like that are just so important to us, and so in line with how we view ourselves as stewards.
Yeah, it's community helping community, right?
That's it.
We all rise together. Using your term, and you're not telling us this, and I'm not having you here to give you a pat on the back. You're not telling us about the different things that you're doing out there with the terrace and stuff to get a pat on the back. You're doing it because you believe it's the right thing to do, and thank you for that. And that is well respected in the area. I know when you first came here, I got the pleasure to meet you and actually had the opportunity to come over and tour APT. Done that a couple of times now, bringing different organizations in. Our statewide economic development organizations coming in to take a look at what's going on here, because it's unique and it's special, and you should feel very proud of that. Not patting you on the back, but just feel very proud of that.
Yeah, thank you for saying it, Mark. And we do. We're super proud of what we do. And we just had our huddle. We have a huddle every Monday, and we were celebrating this morning just some really great achievements that have been made in the last week. And just every single week, we're just so proud, and so we feel so blessed to be able to do what we do here.
Yeah. So if we have a local community member wants to learn more about you, what would be the first step?
Yeah, so you certainly can go to our website. We relaunched our website on Cinco de Mayo this year. We did that because we threw a big taco party that day intentionally so we can always eat when we celebrate. But yeah, so go to our website at AmericanPeatTech.com, and you can learn a lot about the scope of what we do. It's broad. You know, we also have an open door policy, as you know, and you've taken advantage of it many times. So whoever wants to come see what we do, you come up, you let us know, and come to our front door, and we have one little waiver to sign, and we'll put a hard hat on you, and we'll walk you around. So we were started as a community project out of a bankruptcy. I mean, they literally passed the hats to many of the families here in the community. We're owned still to this day by 57 individual households, almost every single one with ties to this city. So as a community project, we're always having open houses, just like the government would. And so again, people are welcome to come reach out to us on our website and ask for a tour, and we'd love to give you one.
Yeah, the staff does a wonderful job of giving a presentation on all of the different things that APT has to offer, and then being able to go out there and see the actual physical taking of the peat and turning it into the pellets and the things that you would be selling out. Awesome to see. So
yeah, well, and that all came from the brilliance of Doug Green, who was our founder and currently still works in the business and serves as board chair. I mean, most of what was built in that plant, as you know, came out of reclaimed iron mining operations out of the Iron Range. And so we took what once was producing impact and now bringing it into our plant to produce more impact. So not much of what we buy anymore is really off the shelf. It's really repurposed from old efforts.
Yeah. Brad, thank you so much for coming in. Hopefully we can do this again soon.
Yeah,
and
anytime.
As one of those leaders of the community, leaders of an organization and a business here in town, pleasure to have you in here, and we hope that we see you for a long, long time as it goes forward.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. Well, I'm so proud to be a member of the Brainerd Lakes, Aiken Lakes community, and I love working here in Aiken. I love seeing my friends at the roadside, every week, and at Block North and at all the restaurants here. So it's great to be here. I don't plan on going anywhere, so
That's
couldn't be happier.
Good to hear. That's Brad Pieper. He's the CEO of American Peat Technology here in Aiken County, and you're listening to Coffee with the County, Local Voices.